In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace this power distribution fuse box on this Volkswagen Beetle. Let's get into it. Under the hood on the driver's side, we want to lift this cover, and there you can see the battery. We want to disconnect the negative terminal. That's the one closer to the outside of the vehicle, closer to the driver's side, using a 10mm wrench or socket. Just be careful not to hit the other terminal. Loosen that up. Pop the cable off and set it aside. You can see on the cover here, this is what we're going to be replacing. Just grab the two sides where it's clipped in, and we can just pop this cover right off, put it out of the way. Now before we take these wires off, you want to take a look at the new fuse box and compare the amperages of the different fuses. There may be different amperages, and in that case, you're going to have to either swap them over or get new fuses. These first three are not the same as the fuse box that's in there, so I will have to move these around. And then the last two are exactly the same. 110 amps, and that's the 110 amps. And then this one is 150, and that's also 150 amps. So those are fine. Now before I take these wires off, I am going to label them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can take a pen and just label them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then taking a 10mm socket, we can take the nuts off. Goes off and out of the way. Disconnect the connector right there. There's a clip right here and right here. If you just take a straight blade screwdriver and just push down on it, then this slides up and out. And the last thing, we need to disconnect the wire right here. Using a 10mm socket, loosen up the nut where the wire connects to the terminal. Take that nut off and just slide the wire through, and it comes right out. If you need to transfer over those fuses, you want to do that now. Just take the washers off. This one is a 30 amp and I need to make it a 50 amp. So I'll take this one off. Just going to use a magnet. Take that off. Now slide the fuse out. Transfer that over. The washer on and the nut. And just snug that down, not too tight. And the next two, this one happens to be a 50 amp and this one is a 40 amp. And on this fuse box, it's just the opposite. So 40 and a 50. So I'm just going to swap those so I don't need this anymore. Just use a magnet, take the washers off. Using a pick, take the 40 off. Get underneath there. That's the 40 amp. Here's the 50. Pop that out. And now the 50 is going to go over here to number 2. And the 40 is going to go over to number 3. You can always check your owner's manual if you're hesitant. Put the washers on right here and right here. Put the nuts on. And we'll snug those down. And then these 3 fuses, we want to double check those. These are all 30 amp. The one in the middle is a 30 amp and the other ones are different. So we're going to change those all to 30 amp. You can get new fuses or just borrow them from the other fuse box. That's good. Now we're going to install this the same way it came out. Just to make this easier, I'm just going to pull this cover off for now. Slide this cable through. You can hook this up over here. Just make sure the wires are out of the way. Lock it down in place. Now the same way this was attached, you want to try to run the wire the same way it was. Just like that. And we'll tighten this down, just snug it up. Okay, that's good. Now line up all the wires the way they were when they came out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are all started. You can go back and tighten these down. Not too tight, just snug. You can go back, double check. It's good. Now connect the connector. Slide that in place. Should lock down. That's good. You can put the cover on, line it up in the back, click it down, and lock it down. Then we can go back and put the negative terminal on. And take the wrench and just tighten it down. make sure it's snug, and just grab it, give it a wiggle, make sure it's tight, and close that down and you're good to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.